Greetings one and all, and welcome back to the Tier 1 SSRI Sprint Series here, this time coming from Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. Always love some of these European names because they like to stretch them out as much as possible, but we are here with a very wet and soaky race. This stock footage will lead you astray to believe that to begin with, but in the practice server we very much got the rain pouring down. But as you can also see in the bottom left, I am joined today by Lloyd. How are we doing?
Great. How are you doing? Thanks for having us on today's comment, having me in the booth today. Yeah, so I'm really excited. I'm just really excited to be here. It's been nice to be got an hour race today, and we've got a lot of movement in the I'm just really excited to be here.
I can tell you're a bit speechless at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, for all those Oliver Anderson fans in chat, if you are lurking around, do not be afraid. He's just having some technical problems on his own behalf and basically couldn't make it today. So I jumped in initially, but then naturally, Lloyd, you stuck your head in as well. So we've actually managed to get a dual cast today, which I think has caught a lot of the people within the production booth, aka Chris, who'll be our beautiful camera changer for this race and pretty much the entire of this series. But he's finally going on holiday. I think that's the first time I've actually heard him do that during a season at least. But nevertheless, that's besides the point. Let's look forwards to the race we've actually got today. So as mentioned, this is going to be a rain-soaked Spain, basically, which a lot of people were anticipating coming in. We've actually had 2 community streams, if you want to go and have a look around them, both promoting the fact that this is going to be a wet race. So nothing to shy away from there. Obviously, a lot of these drivers I would be suspecting have prepared for a race like this. But if we go to the practice server, if we can, I'm sure we can get a very good sight of what we are talking about. There it is.
There it is.
A lovely Haribo-themed Mode 11 car, Nick Vargas. I love some of these liveries. It is very, very wet out there. But
I think that's obviously a huge factor for today too, you know, and just seeing these guys go around, and you can just see the wetness of the track and the spray kicks up, you know. And especially, we was actually talking earlier on about with this particular track, we do have the old chicane as well.
Yes.
So that slow speed off those corners is going to be also a factor in, you know, get a good straight line speed down the straightaway right here.
Yeah, the traction very much going to be crucial around here. And actually, one of the other bits we were mentioning, talking earlier on, was mainly around the car choices around here. So we've got at the moment 2 Astons and the Honda at the top, which, to be honest, doesn't surprise me all that much. Mainly the Aston, known strong wet weather car in this game, just with how the power is deployed. It's a very, very well, I don't want to say high revving. You need to get the revs into the engine before any decent power comes through, so that lower band before the turbo kicks in can actually act as a very, very nice safety net when it comes to the wet weather. So in terms of driving around here, not that you can drive it quick straight away in the wet, but it is one of those ones that gives you a very nice safety net and is easy to follow. Now on the other side of things, the Honda will be a scary car to drive around here, but due to the BOP and it being an older car, pretty much every circuit it goes to, it loses weight. And it already being one of the lighter cars, I believe, in the game, does actually then mean it's going to be very nippy. It was already nippy with being such a narrow wheelbase of a car, but the fact that it's been lightened down so much as well means
he
it's
had a
going to have a
moment
very...
too over the curbs. That's another thing we need to look at too.
Oh,
If you
curbs
just look
around
at that
here,
footage,
yes.
Yeah, curbs are very, very tricky here, especially slick curbs with the rain. So you might see accidents happen because of those curbs too. Now I know that a lot of the curbs are generally flat, but from that kink there on that sort of secondary straight, you can see these guys are getting the wiggle on.
I can imagine.
So
very
yeah,
much
that's
so.
the slickness of the track will definitely be a factor, and even at the start too, it's going to be. Ooh, I'm excited.
Mounting those
I
curbs,
don't know
yeah.
what's going to happen. The rain changes everything.
The rain, yes, does add a lot of factors to this. And actually, one thing I didn't think about is actually pit entry for this, because a lot of the time, the way to come into this pit is basically ride over, technically not a curb, but it is Astro, so something that will be incredibly slippy in these conditions. I think people are already finding out that these braking points are very much going to have to change at the moment.
Fredrickson off took a turn at turn one there. That's a tricky one. You see what we was talking about, just the slickness of the track.
Oh yeah,
unbelievable.
oh yeah. So that green stuff is
Even
going to be
somebody
terrifying.
who's as high up as Fredrickson, like he's 7th on the leaderboard, so he can even catch out the top guys.
Oh yeah, pretty much everyone today, I'm gonna say, is gonna have a good chance. Because looking back, I've made a bunch of notes. I've bored them to death already, the guys in the production booth. So Chris and Lloyd over what I've got here. But
That's
just to have
good. Let's hear it.
Yeah, to give a quick rundown of what happened last week. So last week we were in the sunny weather, so we actually had a dry race, not this absolute piss down to say the least. We started at the Nurburgring GP circuit. Dry weather, and overall it was very much a race of mistakes. Nothing really was safe at all across the entire grid, but overall the man on top is actually the man on top at the moment, Michael Thomas, coming through and defending actually his prologue title. So the one that we had, the SSRI prologue, so not the one before this series. This was the series for the SRO series, where we would send driver to represent the SSRI community. Michael Thomas came out on top in that franchise, and he is back here, and what a way he did it. Starting P1, finishing P1 with a 16.5 second gap to P2, and having the fastest lap as well by 0.3 of a second, which may not sound like a lot, but over a race stint is a decent margin.
A lot of time. Yeah.
Very much so. Coming in second in the
really could have took an extra pit stop and still won.
That might have been pushing it. I don't think that would have been the case, but no. It may be a drive-through, not a pit stop, but still coming home in second though in the pro class was Terje Fredrickson. Strong opening lap, massive opening lap actually from him to get himself up into P2 very, very early on, and then it was pretty much smooth sailing from there out as all of the battles and everything was happening behind him. So he had a very clean race and just overall managed to keep things clean. Coming then in third was Brent Quanton, who at the time technically was in P1 because he started in the Pro-Am class, or the semi-pro, I should say, not Pro-Am. And after the very astounding performance there, qualified in P2, and in P3, very much got barged out of the way a lot of the earlier race, but when he found his groove, he had some incredible pace and came home P3 overall, which then had a very subtle promotion, which, well, I say subtle, it was just dropped in the general ACC chat, and it was then stated that he was now in the pro class. So very, very good from him. With upsets in that race, the main one I think being, well, at least from my perspective, was Kieran Verdago, who qualified P8, not necessarily where he wanted, but overall not too bad for him, especially with the people we had on the grid. But he then sadly got spun on lap 1, which then meant he was put right to the back of the pack, but did manage to come home P10 in class. So a good comeback drive. Going to semi-pro then, in P1 finishing, we had Andy King, who kind of was in this little pack of semi-pro drivers. We had him, we had Bas Vermelis, and we also had someone else, which I can't remember at the moment, but I guarantee I'll remember their name. Oh, Latil, that was it. Sorry.
Does he have a teammate there too on screen?
He does. I will get to him actually in a moment. Yes, he does have a teammate. So Andy King started about, I think it was P4 in class, managed to have a very good fight with a lot of not only semi-pros but also pros coming out with some very strong and very concise moves to get P1 overall, and especially with the strategy that he held out. He had, I think, the longest first stint in the Pro-Am class, semi-pro, I need to stop saying that, semi-pro class to then get the P1, so a very, very strong race from him.
Drive.
Very good drive, yeah. Coming then second, Danny de Swart, incredible outcome for him, depending he started P6 in class, which doesn't sound too bad, but he was P20 overall. So not only did he have a good amount of semi-pro drivers to get through, but there was a decent few of the pro drivers to get through there as well. So the fact that he managed to get P2 overall meant that he kept it clean, stayed out of the way, because as I mentioned, there was a lot of incidences, spins, and that sort of thing happening. Coming then finally in the final podium spot was Idris Partez, who where is it? Oh, I can't read my own handwriting. This isn't great. I'm very professional. Oh, yes, that was it. So, again, one of the long first stinters managed to stay out of the way of a lot of the trouble when it came to the race, but it meant that he kept out of any incidents, any trouble to come home P3. And I do want to just clear this all up for the final race with a quick shout out, in my opinion at least, to Bas Vermelis, one of the CBSR guys, as he came P6 in class, which I think for how he thought the race was going to go, maybe not the best, but he did get spun or spin twice in the race, so he actually did very, very well. Oh, not Bas, I meant Aaron, not Bas. I've said the wrong name. Sorry, Bas, I love you, but I've said the wrong person. I mean Aaron, CBSR. Bas doesn't drive
now, and
yeah, I've really cursed him now. But Bas isn't even racing today, actually. So he came home P4 in the last race. So he's actually doing very well in the standings overall, but he's going to fall back quite a bit depending. A no-show obviously means no points. So
yeah, no points.
Hopefully he's going to have a better showing in the yeah, exactly. So hopefully in the later races he's going to have a better showing to at least stay somewhat competitive as we are now,
and still have the presence to gather it up and get back up into a good position at least, especially if you've been slow, because normally it's your race over, Rainy, but so he must have good pace, really good pace, good.
Very much so. And actually, this man we're currently riding on board with is actually someone I didn't make a note of, but I do remember last race I meant to check up with him, but because I don't know what happened, but he.
Oh, my screen's frozen here. Sorry.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, sorry.
We had a moment. Don't worry, we had a scare and we thought the stream was gone. But Chris Vining pitted on the outlap for some reason. Don't know why. Or not on the outlap, on the formation lap. Sorry, I should say. And kind of just overall had a mediocre race. He was having to cut through the entire of the grid. He had to catch up, obviously, at one point. to be able to even do anything in the race. So a bit of an odd start, depending. He actually
Maybe he forgot
qualified
to do something.
P3. He qualified P3 last race, so he is. It's not the fact that he's a slow driver or anything like that. He just straight up forgot to do something, maybe on strategy. Maybe he had a wet strategy. I don't know why. You normally do it the other way around. But someone I think hoping who will bounce back this race, depending it was not a particularly hopeful outcome. And actually, one thing to follow on from that quickly is Steve Wright, the teammate that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Of the Andy King, of Mr. Andy King. Yes.
Right.
He actually qualified P1 last race.
Oh wow. Okay.
Or in class at least, I should say. He qualified P1 in class last race. But sadly, during a fight, did have an incident. He managed to hold it together and I think came out P5 overall. So not particularly one to frown too much over, but very much wanting a lot more from that.
Yeah, it might be a good race for him today then. Yeah, hopefully a better race today. So. Yeah, one to watch maybe.
Yes, very much so. A lot of these will be ones to watch, especially with watching the free practice one. Well, we've only got one free practice, but the Mercedes I am actually expecting to be relatively strong around here. Front engine cars aren't particularly great around here, mainly due to just the layout of the circuit. There's a lot of high-speed corners, especially T3, the long hairpin, long right-hander.
Yeah.
The front engines aren't particularly good around there because they need to lunk that weight around. The mid or rear engines are quite strong around there. But the Mercedes...
It doesn't really seem like we have many. Which cars are front-wheel drive? I don't see any.
It's not front-wheel, front engine.
Front engine,
There's no front... I hope there's no front wheel.
I thought you said front-wheel drive.
No. No, so the front engines we're looking at are the Aston, Ford, Nissan, Mercedes, Nissan's in there, yes, and there is a BMW, in the middle there, P12 at the moment. So they're all the front engines that
So there's a good spread there then.
There's a very, very good spread. Oh no, there's overall, but the Ferrari here being the one, or the go-to car around here, besides the BOP. Just overall very, very strong and very grippy car, very comfortable around here as well. But these front engines, especially around the corner we've got at the moment Nick Vargas is on, is not the nicest. You have to be very, very patient with them to be able to get any pace through them. And especially with all the wet weather and the green stuff on the outside, understeer is not going to be nice. So these guys I'm going to be keeping watch of to see how they control these things, because especially with the fact that the Mercedes has got a minus 23 ballast, I think it is. They've lost a lot of weight, and in the wet weather, that can mean a lot. That's very
mean a lot.
Minus 21.
We are just getting through our first lap times here in qualifying as well, so we're also getting like a 1:48 almost dead for Michael Thomas, and I think we was looking at in practice. There's maybe a 1:48 in there from what I'm hearing.
He had
maybe a second.
I think he had a 1:48.3. So he's still got good amount of time in the tank.
So he's got some time there, especially now he's 0.6 above there, but there's still a long time. Whoa, he's at a moment there. Who was that in the Honda there? Had a moment. Quentin?
This is Brent. Yeah, this is Brent Quentin, who's currently P3.
He's giving it
the second lap thing. Yeah, so these guys are now on the proper push laps at the moment. First laps are normally ones that you just get a bit of a feeling for the car, a bit of an idea. Does improve, but doesn't move. Actually, no, he does move. Sorry, things happen very quickly there. He moved to P2, but then Chris Vining, the one that I mentioned, didn't have a particularly great start to last race, comes and snags P2 basically immediately from him. But then there's Michael Thomas lurking at the top still with that gap's come down quite a lot, but that's still his first lap. So as mentioned, he has still got a bit of tank. Actually, no, tell a lie. That has improved. I think a lot happened in a space of a second then at the top there, because Michael was on a 49.
He moved around quite a bit.
A lot has moved. But still, Michael.
And the Ferraris are having
strong.
A big group there between 11th, 12th, and 13th. There's a big group of Ferraris there too. Almost 2 seconds off the pace though.
Very much liking to group. Being told Regan is 0.6 up, so we're expecting him to do a jump. There it is, up to P8, holding more lurking more in the middle of the pro class. So maybe where you'd more expect him to be. is now sitting behind those Mercedes, which I did mention they were going to be a bit stronger around here.
Kyle
Depending,
Vining
they struggled quite a bit
sector.
last time. And Chris Vining, as you were saying, sorry.
Last lap was a 1:49.0. So he's only a couple of tenths off the top pace here. Let's see what happens here as it comes to the last sector. Car looks really under control there. Or hits that inside curve. That might cost him a lot of movement in that. Got a very soft setup there. You can see his suspension moving around a lot.
Being told now that Brent's actually the one improving. He has
been told.
He has improved, but he's not moved again. This time he's not moved. I can comfortably say that. But that gap has now come down and has actually saved him from being overtaken by now P4 David Hill, who I think is just lurking behind him. You can see him there back in the background. The Mercedes is now also having moved closer together. Richardson and Vargas, although they're teammates in Mode 11, they very much had a big scrap last race, so there may be words amongst the team there. As now we drop back to P13.
Energy.
Yeah, we've got Malik. 0.2 up, so we'll be looking to at least gain one position from this over Steve Wright, so actually be at least the back of the pros before the first silver. Every did I say Stewart?
We've got Stuart Wright 68 in front of him, yeah. So he's actually, this is for the classification first place, isn't it?
Oh, I said Steve Wright, didn't I? I see what I've done wrong. I see what I've done wrong. Yeah, that doesn't help. But he has improved. He now goes above Stewart. Say it right now. So her now 0.3 up. Looking to gain quite a few positions actually on this one.
7th. Wow, still a second.
Yeah.
That's a fast time on that Lamborghini. We was witnessing him in practice earlier on, and he had a very loose race car. So for him to get up there in 7th place, yeah. So he had his hands full there in that Lamborghini, no doubt. Vargas might go up.
Hoping to improve. Doesn't sound like he's had a particularly good exit out of the corner. That might have just been the ACC stuff. He now goes within a second of Michael. And there's still second fastest Mercedes. But he's wanting to get ever closer to his rival slash teammate. I don't know what to call him at this point, those two. I think now have gained a rivalry, especially after the Nurburgring race. And the Kran hoping to move up. Had a very strong practice, actually, so I'm very much thinking he's hoping to gain some positions here. May just be a case that he had more in the tank back then, has worn himself out. Not saying that from any personal experience whatsoever.
Are you thinking fuel's going to come into it too? Because you want to, because we 10 minutes left on the clock for qualifying. What's your strategy here? You think are you going to pit for new tires
At
and
this
then
point,
go again?
At this point, personally, I would say at this point, actually, I would potentially be ending my first stint. I wouldn't aim to go out just yet. Mainly due to, oh my word, quite a few positions gained there. Who was that? That was Roy Blues.
Blues up to 13th.
Going up to the middle of the pack. He's now the one at the back of the pros, if you want to call it that. And actually the man I shouted out very incorrectly earlier on. I'll keep quiet about that as much as possible. But Aaron, CBSR car, now actually rocking the livery because I think first race they hadn't sent it across just yet. Looking to gain some positions. Doesn't manage to do Fu. I think he had an invalid lap there because that did look a bit quicker. And I think it was actually. But sadly it wasn't to be. Richard Prixley now. Someone who had a bit of an understated race. I didn't bring him up earlier on just because there wasn't enough time. But Richard always liking the Nissan. And I can't lie, I did have it a go.
Really, doesn't it? Yeah.
The Nissan is actually a very, very nice car. And especially with the BOP and the fact of the recent changes to bring it more in line with the competitive. It's quite nice. It's a very quick car. It doesn't even look like it's in under any distress going over the curbs either. Look, from those couple of corners, just observing it. Just eating them up. But you do need to be careful of that whopping great big supercharger on it. As it does like to surprise you when you're not paying attention. Does jump up a few places, but yeah, still got a couple of the pro or semi-pro cars ahead, which, not to slander on them or anything, you don't want to be behind them when you want to fight for actual positions in the championship.
You don't want any up with some lower classes.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you got a couple of them in front of him, bro.
But I'm wondering as well that I think that might have been his outlap, because I did see him in the pit lane a bit earlier on, so that was still potentially just warming up the tires. So this will be the fast lap, but we'll keep an eye on him in the background. Going back down now into 22nd place, Dario Vanello. 2 seconds, or just under 2 seconds off at the moment, but he's almost half.
He might jump up quite a few places here. We're having a good time if we can get out this last corner right. Oh, missed the apex. Missed a bit of the apex there. Never mind.
Apex, but it's a good improvement. Point 3-ish up, give or take. But that does put him now much closer to the rest of the pros, as we are having a lot more of a spread out grid. Actually looking towards the bottom, I mentioned this when just before we went live. Poor 28th position, Gabriele Crepesi in the Audi. It's a brave decision. Well, to begin with, the Audi. Well, the Audi, yes, to begin with, is and
he's off. And he's
Gabriel, you did not need to do that for me. But yes, the Audi to begin with is a terrifying car in the dry. The amount of power that V10 creates is unreal. I drove this for one season and immediately realized I was way over my head. This is a car that you have to set your driving style to. If you don't, you spin, you fail, no. It doesn't go well, so you have to be very cautious with this, and especially now within the wet.
Car coming through,
and especially now in the wet. This isn't going to be nice.
Yeah, there might be a bit of lapping if he's sort of 5 seconds off the pace. You know, you might see a few laps if he's made errors there, but you know, some back markers.
But one maybe just to hold on to. He's probably got some more time in the bag.
He might
just
get a
lurking
here.
around.
No.
Whoa, Brent.
Wow, that car is really responsive. He's got that fully under control.
Yeah, that was. Well, that's our native Nissan. That was Richard. There is a Porsche not on the track properly there, but Richard getting out of the way nicely for Brent to come through. Hopefully going to get an improvement. We're being told 0.2, but that's still not going to be enough. Ooh. Oh, it is just enough.
Ooh.
Oh, that's
a fast time. That's going to be fun for the first two.
But that is less than that's 1/10, no, not 1/10, 100th, sorry, of a second between P2 and P3. They're going very wide there.
On exit there.
There's Alderman there. I think that wasn't a valid lap, or at least pushing too hard.
Oh, he went straight back to pits.
Straight back to pits, but I think everyone now who are in pits is going to be fueling very low and going to try and get out as quickly as possible. So obviously we're going to be heading into the race relatively soon, because we've just gotten to 4.5 minutes left.
4.5 minutes left. This is when you really got to think about that last shot at the at P1, or to get up as high as you can.
Andy King now.
Or for me too, I always like to be the fastest of a certain car brand. You know, if I'm the fastest Mercedes or
there's always
top 3. That's how I like to.
Always a good mentality. Yes. Yeah. To have something to aim for. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't want to be hanging around I want to be at the sharp end of the field. You know. So this would be when I'll be pitting and going, okay, let's do one last super run.
Just do a Richard Prickley then. Just do a Richard Prickley. Be the only person in the car, and then you're always the fastest of that.
Right.
Very easy.
Yeah. Or called free practice when I'm the only person on track at the time I'm fastest. Well, yeah, I don't think. I was asking you earlier on, like, what are the lap times the guys are doing? Like, and I said a 1:58 because it'd be raining. I was trying to give as much time for that, but it was actually a 48 is a quick time. These guys are not hanging around. They're very confident in the rain. Yeah, but I think we'll see some show work. I think we'll see some fireworks, because this rain ain't getting any less. I don't think. Not in the
No, it's gaining. Oh, it's gaining over the 30 minutes. This is going to have heavier and heavier and heavier. So the race is going to potentially be monsoon
We'll have a lot of fun. There's going to be
oh boy, is it!
Right, holy moly.
Roy coming over the line does improve, but not by much. One position. Little change. Michael Thomas now, current man in P1. His earlier lap time hasn't changed, but he's looking out to improve here. This is just to only gain a gap to P2, and he isn't successful. He's slower just by 1/10 of a second there, so that's still that would have been, I think that still would have been P1, so he's at this point I think just flexing. But yeah, P2 and P3 I'm still looking at. That's such an impressive gap. And actually, speaking of P3, Chris Vining, I think he's here to try and upset.
And we know that Aston is fast too. That we know that Aston is fast, so he might pop up to second place here if he's up.
Yeah.
Car looks really
seeming to be on par at the moment with his best time, but to be honest, with
that's a good
gap
race
to
pace
P2,
right
that can change very, very quickly, depending how well he hooks up this P3. It's really going to come down to the traction here. Seems like he's got a good run out here. Runs onto the AstroTurf, but is careful enough to not spin out.
Yes.
And it's gone down, not an improvement, sadly, 2/10. That's actually quite a big gap to the best he's done. And the changes haven't happened just yet. Mercedes duo are back together. Didn't see that happening in the background.
8/10 down on his last current lap. I think we should ban that paint job.
I love it. What do you mean? I love these guys.
The bear.
We've got the Haribo bear of Nick Vargas, and I think it's a plane-inspired. Yes, the British plane monster. Oh, it's not. I'm being told. What, do you know what the inspiration is? Yeah, that's
like the
teeth.
right?
The teeth is normally put on planes, or has been, or is he supposed to be a bomb? No. Miscommunications with the producer there. He thought I was saying when I said plane as in boring. No, I mean the aeronautical thing.
Not as in the Spitfire. It's kind
not
of
necessarily the Spitfire,
it's on a Mercedes too.
I think that is actually just to flex my plane knowledge. I think that might be a Hawker Tempest that actually ran that, just to be a bit of a nerd. But the grey paint style wasn't really seen too much, at least on actual military planes. As we now go down to Kurt Peters, not particularly good qualifying from him. I've actually seen him be very, very quick around here, especially. Maybe not particularly fond
BMWs.
In the wet. Actually, that's a good point. The BMW, as I've driven it, not a particularly pleasant car to drive in the rain. Can't really point out why, but I think it's mainly due to the fact that turn-in basically doesn't exist. This car needs the grip on the front end, as he's really raggling it around, going sideways through such a fast corner.
A little bit of spicy there. It got a bit spicy on me on exit. It's over the curves.
And now through sector 3. Not sure if he's on an improvement. I think our producer is going to say that he is sadly not on an improvement. I think as most of the cars are in the pit lane, that will be it for qualifying. We're still going to have quite a few cars on track to finish up. I'm trying to look at the numbers. The 82 will be the last one across the line.
The slowest Ferrari.
Oh, that's a harsh way of putting it.
Some racing stripes on that, it'd be all right. You know, a couple of racing stripes like that 48, the 68 car of Mr. Wright. Yeah, if he puts that paint job on, he'll take 2 seconds off that lap time. No, just kidding. Yeah, but once we finished, just finishing off his lap, it looks like he's got everything under control though. Nice and simple, very precise on the curbs there, not running too far over, staying on apex. That's a good line. Even though he's 23rd, he got a good skill there.
Going to stay 23rd, sadly. Going to be the final one to take the line, and that is going to be qualifying. Michael Thomas, once again, coming out on top to retain the P1 status that he not only took in qualifying last race, but obviously finished in last race. So very much going to be someone that people are going to want to hunt down if they're going to want to stand a chance of winning the race. But looking at qualifying, the 0.145 gap to P2, not a lot from the sounds of things, but especially when you look to how close P3 was, it was 0.008 between those two. It's gonna be a close fight, at least for the final podium spots.
Yeah. And the thing is too, is we know we went even faster in practice than that, and that was still in the wet. So if it does dry off, maybe towards the end of the race, or if it stays really wet, there's still more pace in that car, I believe.
Well, you do need to remember as well, when we're looking at the weather radar, or at least well, you call it weather radar, the thing top right that says plus or minus. We don't really have a radar in this game, but the plus or minus, we were having positives all the way through the 30 minutes. So that is going to be more and more rain. So the reduction in pace from practice, potentially just due to the fact that there is more standing water lurking around there. It's going to be a much wetter race. And especially with the fact that there's going to be a bit of time delay between qualifying and the race, as in world, there is going to be a decent bit more rain on the track, I imagine. Whether in the 30 minutes we're going to have a reduction at any point, maybe, but for my expectations, I don't think the rain's going to go anywhere through these 60 minutes.
No. It doesn't look like it's raining, does it? Actually, no.
Oh, it looks
here we are on
perfectly dry. Very, very, very wet this time around. It might just be a case of the different PCs, as we have different qualities between the two of them. But I've ridiculed Chris about that several times before, but I know there's not much he can really do between that. But looking at the grid, we have got Thomas at the front, Quanton in second, Vining bringing up P3. Going back to the first McLaren, then we've got David Hill lurking around, and the first Ford with Liam Walsh. First of the rival two Mercedes, Andrew Richardson, followed by Nick Vargas. Those two are probably going to have another scrap, and especially after the rivalry in their first race, it's going to be quite some argy-bargy racing from them. Terha Fredriksson in P8. After his P2 showing, is going to want to be stepping up the field a bit more. Regan Mitchell bringing in P9, and Nikolai Schroeder, the third Mode 11 car, bringing in the P10. Oliver Jurwig in P11, brought up by Andy King, the first of the Silvers. So brilliant follow-on from his P1 that he had in Germany first time round. So he's going to have a very, very adamant getaway to try and keep that spot as much as possible. So we'll be keeping an eye on him as much as we can as well. Back to the pros, we've got Roy Blue, someone we actually followed a decent bit within the qualifying, someone who always showed a bit of more pace within qualifying as well, but sadly couldn't pull that final lap together. Malik Panache in P14, the first of the Lamborghinis. Not many on this grid this time round, but good to see at least the companies being represented. Eric Littell, someone who had I've missed someone. Roald Alderman in the Aston Martin there. The 80 car in P15, hoping to move up the grid himself as well. Second of the semi-pros in the form of Eric Littell, someone who had a bit of an unfortunate first race due to several incidences. Sadly, came out of the race. Not particularly good position, but is going to be looking forward this time round with a good P2 in class. Richard Prixley, the big Nissan Godzilla, the eyes of the grid with the Wild Things Racing livery there. Coming home P17 is also a very strong contender, not someone to write out. Stuart Wright, sitting a bit further back in class this time round, P18, is going to be looking at his teammate potentially for a bit of help going forwards, and with a bit of a Ferrari pack as well now. Dario Vanello in P19 and Martin van der Kraan in P20. Moving a bit further back then, 21st, Thomas van Schaik. Not a particularly strong showing for the Porsche, depending it had actually a very, very nice showing at the Nurburgring, not potentially one of the stronger tracks for it. Niall Cox now in P22, another driver known within the community, one that is going to be wanting to get through this grid as much as possible. Dennis Verhoeven now, Ian Nisbet in P23, another one of the Ferraris in the large amount of Ferrari pack here, going to have a large ballast, so hoping that he's going to be able to hold that car together as much as possible, as it is a strong car around here normally. But obviously that ballast is there to bring it back. Dennis Verhoeven now, the 16 Porsche in 24th. Again, Porsche's not potentially looking too strong around here, which is a bit unfortunate for them. But nevertheless, the car can have some unpredicted showings. BMWs, they're running off now. Kurt Peters in the 25th, 177. BMW.
I believe that's by right.
Mick Shakes in P26, the Porsche. The BMW of Aaron Verdrunen, very much wanting to look forwards, and Patrick Treffers, 313 in the Ford, and that's really unfortunate qualifying of the Audi for Gabriel Crepesi in the very ragtag Audi. As our producer, you wouldn't have been able to hear, had a bit of a moment as everyone ran away from him. I was too slow, I'm very sorry. Everyone drove off, but yeah.
There's so many people that we can't even get through everybody's name.
It's a good showing. 29 cars on this grid is a very good showing.
That's a lot of spray in the air, yeah. Oh yeah, it's going to be fun.
But it's actually quite interesting just going through that. It seems to be a very, very clear distinction between the cars that are easier to run in the wet compared to the ones that aren't, depending the Porsches are very, very far towards back, as well as the BMWs. As I remember,
and the Audi, they're very brave people in the Audi.
The Audi, yeah. That's another thing. The Audi's just terrifying all round. But those two cars, because I raced in the prologue to the Sprint Series starting, I was in the Porsche as well, and I drove in this around this track naturally as one of the races, and the Porsche felt very nice around here, very, very strong, especially in the final sector. So here coming into sector 3,
he's ready to get.
They're wanting to get going. They're trying to get as much warmth in those tires as possible, because especially on the opening lap, having warmth in those tires, especially on a wet track, will mean quite a lot. But yeah, the Porsche in sector 3 is often quite strong, but that's mainly due to the traction it has, which when it's wet, kind of lose, sadly. So yeah, some of the strengths of that car going away, and especially as I mentioned with the understeer of the BMW, I don't think is particularly pleasant around here, but I'm sure we'll find out about that as the CBSR guys actually have started to do a little bit of a recap series. At least they did that for the Nurburgring, which is where I found a lot of the information out about their guys' first race around it. So that was very, very nice, and actually something quite enjoyable to watch. So again, another shout out to the CBSR guys.
Is this a rolling start, I'm assuming?
Yes, this is a rolling start, as the tyres are getting warmed up quite a lot here. There won't be any contact. There's no contact until the lights go green. As we are coming up to the line, it's somewhere in there below all of that standing water, and the spray is going to be pretty immense into T1 as we have a green flag going to T1. That Honda has had some incredible traction off the line. Michael Thomas is going to have to drop back and sit into P2, as I don't think he's going to dive for it. Brent comes across to cover the inside line. Smart move. Michael's going to try and hold it around the outside. Very strong move. He's managed to keep it there, but he is on the green stuff. He's going to be coming out wide now, but they have given each other some good racing room there. Michael has had to fall back now on the wider line, and Brent having an incredible start. Both cars going wide now, and that is Chris Vining just slipping up the inside. Big dive now, barged out the way from the McLaren of David Hill, I believe that was, who's now also being pushed out from a Ford of Lewis Walsh.
Everybody's loose.
Everyone's getting arched and barged around. Michael Thomas is getting pushed back. It is getting wide. There goes the Lamborghini. That's Tara Fredrickson, who is trying to get up the grid as much as possible. Mercedes comes in and mashes into the Ford. Oh no, that was Nick Vargas, I believe, into the back of Nikolai Schroeder. That was two Mode 11 cars. That's teammates. That's not going to be some particularly pleasant conversations after this race for them. But looking forward now, that was Andy. That's Andy. That was Andy King. That is P1 in the semi-pro class, who's now gone as well, spun out at the end of Sector 2. We are having some incredible changes at the moment. Oh no, Brent as well gone off. This rain on first lap. These tyres are not fully warm just yet, but Michael is pushing his way back through the grid very well. Is diving up the inside there of Louis Walsh. I don't know why I'm saying Louis Walsh. That is a X Factor judge. That is not the right person.
To the last corner, there's still contact there.
Oh my! Everyone has somehow kept the car alive. I have no idea. And apologies to Liam. It's Liam Walsh.
A very, very spicy first lap there. Well,
and Michael Thomas dived down the inside. Oh, bit of a slide, but manages to keep it together. Does manage to get past David Hill. Tries to block off then into the second part of the chicane. And is now going to hold that awkward inside. The McLaren very, very strong through here due to the aero
ahead of them as well.
But there is going to be some people getting in the way. I don't think that was a back marker. I think that was Chris. That was Chris Vining still ahead. He's gaining
that's the gap.
3 seconds gap. He is pulling away. This fight is playing perfectly into his hands. As he's just going to have a bit of a calmer race, at least as long as he can stay calm, keep it cool and collected, and unlike a lot of the drivers we had so far, revving up those engines, he can keep this gap as much as possible. But Michael Thomas has been unleashed now from the main group. But keep in mind, all the people behind him are going to have a slipstream going through. Depending how brave they are to stay close, obviously that spray isn't going to be particularly nice. But he has very much got some good pace here, and he's showing he's got good pace on the opening laps as well.
Yep. A lot of pace there in that one. Unbelievable. That was chaos. There was just contact everywhere in the first corner, in the chicanes, everywhere. Well, I think they've started to settle down. That first, another bit of contact there at the back. Side by side through the chicane there, left and right.
Looking to the inside there of Liam. Get the names right, it's not an X Factor judge, but doesn't particularly get a good run out. The Ford having that incredible top end speed, or at least the top end acceleration. Looking to wiggle a little bit to get around Richardson, but Richardson's covered the inside and will hold position. I think Taha's just going to sit back here and try and pick up any scraps here.
Bit of contact there, yeah.
A little bit of contact, everyone does come through.
Normally, don't you? Yeah, you let them battle in front of you and you pick them off. And that's good for Richardson. Being ahead like
now getting a good exit. Richardson's going to go deep because he wanted to cover that inside, but that's invited Liam into the inside of the corner, but now the corners go left, meaning Andrew does have inside, and that's Michael Thomas. That is Michael Thomas. That is our current season leader. Only one race so far, but overall, keep in mind, these points gaps are quite big. He's going to try and hold the inside now with Terha. He's going to compromise both of their exits. He gets budged out a little wide. He's on the grass. He's going to want to get off for this corner, and he's going to slot behind, trying to look for the in and out. He's found the inside, and that speed of the Aston, as it's got some pretty good acceleration, is going to help him get back up into a more respectable P6, but he's going to be kicking himself, especially after having such an unfortunate, then fortunate, and now unfortunate opening few laps.
He's gone from first to sixth. Unbelievable. That's why I said earlier on, like the rain's got to dictate everything and how you can, how fast you can push or how fast you shouldn't push, especially in these early stages. We've only been going 5 minutes, and it's always been 5 offs, a couple of big crashes, and you know it's just insane. Right, well, and there again, as soon as I said something. That last turn's going to be, you know, do or die for that last corner, especially in the wet as it is right now. Holy moly.
Chris Vining now 5-second gap at the lead. Mainly helped due to P2 having a bit of a spin potentially in the form of Thomas falling back, but now we've got this P2 battle between Brent and David. Both of them pulling away from the rest of the grid. So Liam and Michael being held back a little more. I think it's about a second, about a second gap to them. So they've got a bit of breathing room. David can look forward to try and overtake Brent, who goes incredibly wide. He's going to compromise this corner, but does manage to hook it in very, very well. Well recovered there. Obviously, David is seeing all of these vulnerabilities within the way the car's moving. He's going to be looking for any form of optimistic move he can make to get past.
Still very tight in the midfield in the back too. Oi, Zona! He's got his hands full. Hill's got his hands full right there. Wow, that's a lot of oversteer. Hold on to it though. That's great.
Right, he's falling back now, and the rest of the pack, that Ford catching up very much so. These little moments obviously surmounting to more than they probably like. Meanwhile, Chris laughing up ahead.
Small errors start to, some of those small corrections that you would normally make in the dry, you overcorrect them in the wet, and it'll send you off. It's such a small correction you have to make. It's so hard to drive in the wet. That's why I gave up. And he's gone wide.
Oh my word!
That bear is wide and getting overtaken.
That's Malik. Barging his way past, getting his elbows out, is pushing.
Oh, and he's lost 2 there.
Vargas wide, and Vanello is also going to fight his way through. He's lost 2, and I think he's going to potentially lose another one here, depending. He's going to have a slower exit. Yeah, Vargas not having the best race, and I think this. I know he's going to. I can hear a teammate of his, Mr. Treffers. Actually, no, it wasn't Treffers. Sorry, it was the other Ford, Mode 11. Oh my word.
Sent him off a little bit there.
But yeah, the fight earlier on, not too happy there. Yeah, Schroeder, being reminded by our lovely producer, Schroeder, Nikolai Schroeder, that wasn't too sure who punted who in that scenario, but nevertheless, team orders not particularly happy there. As my.
Big contact there from Wright and Nesbitt. Was that Wright and Nesbitt then?
That was Nesbitt and Vargas. Vargas is very much going to be fuming. Not a happy race, and he's very. Hey, that's a familiar Ford I see there. Coming alongside and overtaking. I believe that is actually Schroeder that has now appeared. It is. Who's actually joined by Andrew King. This is kind of the unfortunate group we have here. A lot of the cars that were supposedly looking for great things this race, especially with the fact of their performance in the first race. Obviously, this race not showing out to be too much this time round.
It's just turned into chaos.
Oh, yeah.
Rain will always do that. That's why I always think we should do rain races the best. Because it's all about it's all based on driver skill as well, and it looks like they're not. It looks like there's no more plus signs on the rain. The rain dog.
Well, we're staying. So we're staying at this level for at least for the foreseeable future of 30 minutes. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's going to stay like this for the rest of the race.
Yeah.
So we hop now up to Van der Kran, who's got a little Porsche train of his own. Got Schroeder in the background. The Audi not particularly the strongest as Vargas is off again. I don't want to keep saying it, but Nick, this is not your and he's RTG'd. I think that might be it for Nick Vargas. That is 3 big incidences we've had within the first couple of minutes. First 10 minutes of the race. It's not going to be something to remember. There was a lot of potential in this race, especially with where he qualified, so a very, very unfortunate situation for him.
And still lots of time left on the clock too. I mean, there's still 50 minutes of racing left almost.
Could have done a lot. I would have potentially argued he should have pitted, but that's mainly just to keep people on the grid, because obviously you never know what can happen, and especially with what's happened to him, he'd probably be the best person out of anyone to know that. As we now go split screen, we look at Andy King, top left, trying to get past the Audi of Gabriel at the back of the pack, and at the bottom right, we've got towards the front of the pack, Michael trying to get back through.
Thomas, yeah, he's trying to get back
through back to the front of the grid where he wanted to be on the podium.
His way through this pack now with these.
He's not looked as strong as he did on the opening laps, because at the moment he's being held up by Liam. Yeah. Oh my word, there's a lot of movement ahead of him. That was Liam looking to get past David Hill. Positions don't move into this first corner. But Liam looking very strong, maybe going to try and look for a wider line. He does. So he's going to potentially get a better exit out of here with that Ford power to boot as well. He's going to have a good run coming down here. David, though, covering the inside. I think David is going to keep safe there. Liam's going to slot in. David does go wide, though. He's going to looking for the in and out. He's not going to have enough traction. Michael's been invited into this now, and Michael goes very wide, sadly. And he's barged out of the way. Very, very aggressive racing from a lot of this, but I think that was more than fair. He was just getting the elbows out. A very, very nice in and out from Liam Walsh. Michael is going to be fuming as he can't move forwards as well.
That's good solid racing right there. That's why we watch this. That's why we commentate on it. They're close, and that's a leader right there. You know, the range does everything. The range is great. It puts us in these kind of scenarios as driver to test your limits. And it's gone around the outside.
What a cut through!
A move.
What a very bold move.
You don't overtake there.
You do not overtake there. That is a very brave move. That was probably a moment of millimeters between the car, as when he went in, he was millimeters from the rear, and coming out, the Ford was millimeters from his rear. So very bold move. And now he can look forwards once again with the hopes of leaving Liam behind with any more problems from that. But now obviously he's got the case of David Hill, who's been showing a very, very strong defensive performance against the likes of Liam. So not particularly one to shrug off just yet, but while all of this has been happening, I've kept an eye on that gap at the front. 7.5 seconds to Chris. Chris is absolutely laughing with all of these fights going on.
10 seconds of the road is a long, long way to go. But doable in 45 minutes, I think.
Oh, very possible. We've still got pits to go as well, which actually, to just clarify as well in this race, this 60-minute race, there is a mandatory pit stop for tyres. Well, that's been going on. That was as you mentioned, a very, very nice move around the outside by Michael Thomas. Well, an in and out, I should say as well. Outside of one and then inside
his act together too. He might be able to pick up another position from Hill if Walsh gets his act together. Might be able to pounce on that.
Well, Michael Thomas has gone past David Hill. That is David Hill and McLaren there. He's already managed to get past. So
I'm talking about
Liam. Sorry, Liam.
Walsh,
okay.
Walsh, yeah.
Well, Liam's been having some difficulties with
David. He might be able to pick up that place. Look, he's gone too wide as well.
Oh, he has as well.
There's the move. Yeah, there's the move.
The traction from that McLaren's done very well.
Move I just got pulled on. If somebody pulls a good move on me, I'm going to remember that they did that. I'm going to try the same thing. Yep. I figured I might try and pick up. He might try and pick up the pieces there. That's a good move. That's a smart, intelligent race driver.
Michael Thomas now being freed from these two fighting, because he kind of got held up within their fight, but he's going to have his eyes forwards towards the likes of Brent.
Keep it on track though, fellas.
Keep it on, yes.
We're going into that sun trap.
We've had enough moments at the moment.
You're never coming in. Yeah, see if you can
looking back through. Looking at the rest of the pack now. I think this one might have settled down for the meantime, but I'm looking at Richard Prixley, and actually in 11th and 12th. So that's a very, very close gap between the two of them, this and the Lamborghini.
On first place too. Looks like Quentin is gaining.
Very much so. There actually seems to have something happen. Yeah. Now we've got
maybe a twitch or enough, maybe. Lost his rhythm.
Maybe, but he's got so much breathing room there. He's got a lot to play with. Now looking.
And they're looking down to 11th place. What's going on here?
Richard Prixley.
The battle for.
This is for P11. No, P11. Richard Prixley leading the two of them. Malik Panacci behind in the Lamborghini. So two off companies, should we say. There's two Lamborghinis in this race. Just the one Nissan. That Nissan's going to have some very nice acceleration and good speed behind it, but that's if you can get it on the track. So obviously the wet weather is not going to play nice to that sort of thing, but Richard, known for climbing through the ranks within SSRI in the Nissan, has very much made a name of himself alongside Godzilla.
He didn't start 11th, did he? He started quite far back, didn't he?
It was a bit further back, yes, but overall, he's mainly gained, I believe, his positions through the messing of the up from a lot of drivers.
Oh,
He's held position for a good while at the moment. But obviously, the pressure, at least from these guys, is not going to be gone anytime soon.
Oh yeah, he's gonna.
As we see top left, actually, the Ford has managed to get past the likes of David Hill. The overtake happened. We were looking too much at the bottom right for top left to have had something happen. So
I thought he might be able to get through. You want to try and follow the fast guys. Try and stick with them as long as they're hardest. Yeah, that's right. Keep up with the fast guys as best you can.
That means he's now got at least fresh.
There's a huge gap for Thomas.
He's got fresh air now. Yeah, Michael Thomas is going to be hunting down Brent. As his gap's come down quite a bit already. Started at about 4 seconds to him. It's a 3.5 now, so half a second over the means of a lap. So he's got a lot of pace on Brent at the moment. Likes of Chris Vining as well, even further forwards. That gap has come down a little bit more as well. So whether Chris was pushing a little too hard on the opening few laps and shredded the tyres might have counteracted his later stint, as the gap's gone up a little bit, so it's probably equalizing out a bit more here. So maybe a little momentary lapse of confidence meant that he
It's easy
lost
to
a little
drop
bit
a
of
second
pace.
here or there, and if as soon as you don't get back into your rhythm, that's, you know, you start bleeding a lot more time, and you can't do that when you're at the top.
Very much so.
Especially when you got Thomas bearing down on you at a rate of knots. You know, you don't want to hang around. You want to put as much distance between that person as you can. But there's also that point of gap management as well. You can see the lap time. You can see him coming. So it's just execution, isn't it? Then it really at the end of the day. But that's a good move from Walshkin, picking off that extra position now.
King now picking up positions in class actually. So he's looking for the podium at least, I would say. Now he's got Van Schaik in front of him, the Porsche. Porsche's not looking particularly strong around here. So he's going to be looking to gain this position.
Really
hopefully a good. That was a big dive. Sorry, I got very distracted. Big dive in the background. Yeah, from the Audi, who I don't think gained the position as it was around the outside, at least attempted, of Patrick Treffers. So he's probably gone wide, but nevertheless holding position in both cases. Andy looking back forwards again is going to try time and time again just to heckle the back of Van Schaik. The Porsche, in my opinion at least, notably not particularly great in losing its line. If you push it off its racing line, it's not too strong. It has to stay where it is comfortable, otherwise it will struggle. You mainly gain positions and overtakes in the acceleration and the overall traction bits.
From earlier on too, Fredrickson looks like he's just a couple of tenths behind a Porsche there as well, down there in 26th place.
Yeah, Terha actually didn't even notice that.
He's not far
had
behind.
a moment.
There's a move coming on here, I feel. There's two.
So
that was due to a yellow flag.
There's someone who was started a long way, a lot further up, has also fallen back again. Seems like the greats at the moment don't seem to be having the best of races. Well, we say that with regards to Michael Thomas being in there as well, but he's still up with potential for podiums at the moment. I would say the likes of Andy King and Terha here, Fredrickson,
with a lot of
more damage control.
Big cars within a second of each other. Yeah, this might get spicy through this chicane. Yeah, there might be a dive or something. Especially when you're this far in the pack, you want to try and get up as far as you can with the time you have. Yeah,
You
they need a good drive
get
off this
used
last
to
corner.
close
Yeah,
racing and the
Here's a pit
Porsche.
stop to
Both of
start
them
him.
coming into the pit, I think. Yeah, both of them.
That's
Terhard,
a
Fredrickson,
really
I think
pit stop.
it's an early pit stop. Well, it's closer than you think, actually. We're not too far off the middle of the race. This is only a 60-minute race, but these guys will be coming in for a 30-second pit stop minimum due to that mandatory tyre swap. Whether they got any damage and whether they're going to do without any damage, not too sure. It's kind of hard to tell because the aesthetics of the car doesn't necessarily line up.
I think the Porsche missed the pit stop there.
Oh,
They look like they missed their
not
pit
too
stops.
optimistic, but looking at the fight for P12 now, and actually I would say P11 more like, because Pricksley is just there, gaining a little bit of a group in the middle of the pack now, all pro cars. So this will technically be for 10th, 11th and 12th, because we have got the likes of Latil in the semi-pro in 10th at the moment, a much better showing, a much happier showing from him.
He didn't start 10th, he was down in 20th place when he started, I believe, wasn't he?
I don't think it might have been that far back. Actually, we've had a lot of incidences, so it's kind of hard to tell.
McLaren, I remember he was he's kind
Oh, so just being told, Fredrickson. So the two cars that pitted, the Lamborghini having successfully overtaken in the pit lane. So that's going to free him up a good bit. And they've actually come out literally in line with the leaders. So that's Brent there with the Lamborghini we were just talking about in between them. So he's going to be needing to get out of the way. The rules of the blue flag now dictate in this series is basically get out the way. Let the leaders fight. So Fredrickson is going to be wanting to move anytime soon because Michael Thomas is very, very much on the hunt here. He's gained the purple lap. Not by much from P1 at the moment to Vining, but he's got out of the way.
Really easy for him.
He's making it as easy as possible because at the moment Thomas is very, very quickly catching the likes of Brent Quentin.
Yeah,
he's hopefully looking
Quinton's
forward more to Vining.
Back a little bit too now. That gap to the top now between first and second is now actually gone up to 6 seconds. So he's actually gaining. Or it's gone up to 6.3, so that maybe that lap car might have had a bit of an impact on that because he's lost another 3 or 4 tenths there in almost a second and a half. So that's not great, but there's still plenty of time.
Not sure if we're good. Oh. I don't know if
yeah, we're back. We're back.
We're back. We had a stream freeze moment.
The Matrix panicked right then.
Very much so. Got a little worried there. I think that one actually might have been Discord. Oh yeah, we've got too much going on here. Chris in the background mentioning that he would love to do replays, but there has been so much happening in the moment that it's not gone too well. And actually, we've seen an early pit stop from Michael Thomas.
Right.
So he's come in, I think, traffic. He's not been particularly happy, but it's not, well, I say early. It's not that early. We've only got 5 minutes to the middle of the race, so it's probably early of what I would consider a regular pit stop. So he's going to be he's sacrificing the tire wear towards the end of the second stint, but he's hoping to get a very, very good set of outlaps, and he's proven that on the first few laps with the losing yet subsequent gaining of positions. So he's going to have some very, very good time and space, hopefully, to get back into contention with the higher cars.
He'll be actually right where we are right now too, with a battle between Cox, who we have on screen right now.
He'll be dropping down quite a bit. Yeah, because the ACC leaderboard is notably very slow.
Right, yeah.
It's very, very slow. But he's now come out, I think, towards the end of the pack. 22nd. So he has got the entire of, I think, everyone in front of him is just yet to pit. So it's clean air, but it's hard to really tell by how much. I'm trying to see whereabouts he is on the back. He's got actually, I can see he's got a good bit of fresh air behind him. Whether that's enough for him to keep it clean to make the strategy work, because obviously the risk of pitting early is that you meet some slower cars in the background. Brent now pulling the trigger. I think this is to cover off Michael as he saw him coming early. So he's going to be now looking to just make sure that position is held between the two of them. But I think that's going to play more into the hands of Chris Vining once again, who's laughing with 7 seconds ahead of a gap, which will now change even more naturally because the people he's contending with have just pitted. But he's going to be he's going to stay out as much as he can because he's just all that fresh air. But now we're going to ride on board with Michael Thomas to see where these two come out.
Let's see, where is he going to come out? Yes, that's the big question now. Thomas really needs to keep his head around him and push as hard as he can without going over the limit of the cold tyres. That's my only real concern, is that huge, because obviously with new tyres on, it's going to be really much more difficult for him. But if he's pushing now, you never know where he's going to come out. So let's see.
So in just been dropped off the jacks. He's coming out. He's actually in one of the later pit lanes, so he's going to have a very, very quick get out. But Michael Thomas has come back in now. It's going to be very close. That gap has very much come down between the two of them. But because of the way the pit lane comes out, Brent is going to be able to hold it. But those tyres are not going to be anywhere near as warm as what Michael's done, as the outlap's going to have allowed him to gain at least a little bit more temperature. And it's helped. Michael Thomas has had a very, very good outlap and very, very good strategies. He's looking to the inside. He's just keeping that nose in. Brent is going to try and hold it around the inside, but Michael's got the superior grip with those fresher or the warmer tyres, and the overtake has been done. A very, very good strategic move from Michael Thomas.
What a great move. What a great overcut. Now he's going to try and get onto the lead. It's being won by Thomas, A lot of people in the pits now too. 88
more people coming into the pit.
69 cars overtaking people.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot more people coming in, but I think the eyes, at least for the podium spots, will be more on Chris Vining now, who is also in the pit lane. Yeah, Chris is now in the pit lane, so this is another one to keep the eyes on. Also putting it a bit early, potentially just to keep an eye, a bit of better eye at least, on the gap between him, P2 and P3, these two, as they're coming around the final corner. As I don't think if has he started moving?
Will this be for the lead? This could be for the lead.
Chris Vining's out. Oh, he is out. Okay, I'm sorry. I had a moment there. Our producer said that Vining was out, and I thought it's a different meaning of out. But no, he's left the pit lanes, and that gap may have come down, I think, actually. It's hard to tell because we're still waiting for the ACC stuff to sort itself out. But when it does, we'll get a good idea of where these guys lay around each other.
I've got to admire Quentin right here. He has not given up. Thomas is not driven away from
5 seconds. That gap has come down by 2
they're still battling here, I think. What a great show they're putting on. A lot of car control, especially in the given temperatures too. Now his tyres are up to temperature. He might start having a go at Thomas here.
I'm not so sure. With how these two were looking at each other in free practice, I'm pretty sure Brent's going to be keeping, just at least using Michael just to pull him along. Yeah, because Michael has been basically the hunter pretty much all this race. He's had some unfortunate moments. Big slide there. But he's had some unfortunate moments where he's potentially been pushing a bit hard, a la what just happened. And Vining is coming into the picture now, right ahead of him. A lot of time gained here. I don't think Vining's particularly comfortable on the slightly colder tyres. And these two really coming into things now. Yeah, the early pit stop just to gain the temperature and the confidence in the second stint has really paid off. As Vining seems almost crawling, he's missed the actual bit. He's going into the pit. Are we sure that's Chris?
That's for the lead.
Has Chris...
Oh, there's an error.
Oh no!
Vining
News
has made
from
an
the
error, we
producer.
believe
News
that
from the
he might
producer.
have put the wrong tyres on. The pit crew have made a mistake there.
He's come out on slicks, so a massive blunder on the pit stop has caused the race for Chris Vining. He had an unfortunate start to last 2 weeks ago's race. I don't know what to an unfortunate start, but he went into the pits at the start of that race, and now the middle pit stop is what's going to be causing him some restless nights. An amazing start to the race for him has unfortunately been thrown away due to that slight error. Oh, it's apparently a guess from producer, but I'm not gonna lie, I will wager that that is a very, very strong guess, because you don't go that slow and then just pit. It did not look like he had.
Yeah, you got to get back onto the correct tires immediately, especially when it's there's still points in it. There's still, there's still meat on the bones. So,
coming out of the pits.
Oh, he's only about half a lap down then or so.
It's not going to be pretty. Yeah, it'll be about half a lap in the pit lane, but that's going to be quite a few positions.
Lead then, technically.
So this now is the
called it.
The sort of official lead race. We have still obviously got people ahead, the likes of David Hill. And actually, I'm looking at pit wall. Liam Walsh, who was leading for the longest time, I'm not sure if he's come into the pit. He has. Okay, that's why. Liam Walsh now in the pit lane. So who would technically be net 3 now. Will be looking to come out with hopefully a gain, as he was given quite a lot of free air with all of the cars ahead of him coming out. But naturally, the pace from these guys, especially coming out on the fresher tyres, seems to have been absolutely incredible. They are now pulling each other along.
And Mitchell both in the pits at the same time. I wonder who's going to come out in front of that battle.
Liam was the one way ahead at that point. Regan was quite a couple of places back in P6 at that point. So we've got a fight in the middle. This is actually, I was going to say it's not in class.
Third place, our leader for 2 laps ago. This was the leader of the race who put on an error in pit stop, and now he's battling for 23rd now, with people still to pit ahead of him. So he may be top 10 maybe now.
Actually, that was him having to get out of the way. That was a car that is to pit. I believe that is Roy Blues ahead of him. The 181 Ferrari. Yeah, Chris Vining not going to be happy. Obviously, the pace now looks a lot better compared to what we had, but the amount of cars that are ahead of him, especially in class, are not going to be pleasant. Actually, something we're not particularly talking about is the likes of penalties appearing. We've got 2 stop-go 30s for the likes of Patrick Treffers and Nisbet, both in the semi-pro class. So that's not going to make their race easy. And actually,
on, wasn't it?
Maybe actually, yeah. Well, no, that'll probably be for pit entry. Patrick, not sure actually. Stop and go 30 this earlier on. That's kind of hard. Maybe potentially forgetting to serve a drive-through with track limits, but he hasn't actually served his pit stop yet, so not too sure what's happened there. Might have overshot the pit actually. Yeah, that's a good shout. So so not a particularly great race for them either, but a lot of the silver class drivers at the moment not pitting, so we've actually got quite a disparity in terms of who's pitted and who's not, with pretty much all the pros having pitted.
They might have forgot.
I hope they haven't forgotten.
We just driving for an hour.
But yeah, the semi-pros then also staying out, hopefully gaining a lot of positions. And Andy King, I don't think is actually too pleased with that, as he was noted for being one of the longer first stint drivers in the previous race. But his strategy isn't going to really be working this time around, depending everyone else in his class seems to be having the same idea, as I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of people are actually hoping out for the rain to go away with 30 minutes. There's a minus, but that means we're having rain for the rest of the race, so you might as well pit now, lads.
Frederick defend. Looks like Frederick is defending from Vining now. These guys are these two guys are going at it.
That's not Frederickson in front. That's a lap ahead car. That's a Ferrari, not a Lamborghini. That's
I believe Ferrari, isn't it?
That's a Ferrari, I believe.
Andy King then?
That's Roy Blues, yeah. Oh, word, I remembered liveries well. Yeah, Roy Blues lap ahead, but now naturally, due to the fact that he's a lapped car, the Aston Martin is not going to be happy. Yeah, because Vining obviously is technically, if he's too slow when he passes, will have to let Roy back through, and that pace doesn't seem to be with him at the moment. Potentially a bit angry.
Well, we're freezing up. We've got so much going on.
We've got a lot of freezing. I actually think it's Discord. I think it is Discord. Yeah, we were promised before the stream started that we would have an outage from Chris, but it's not happened yet. But we've had a lot of panic attacks, and actually, it's nothing of his fault so far. So that's actually good. Good? No, I don't know how to say it.
He just tripped up on the curb. He just tripped up on the curb, didn't he?
There we go. Vining now making the move to get past us. I think he thought, well, he now knows he's got that extra pace on Roy to get ahead and just stay ahead. So the blue flags, he should be able to ignore for now, so he can gain that gap to the likes of Roy Blues. Roy going to be a bit peeved by that, because naturally you don't want a lapped car just barging past like that, but if you're going to be holding them up, they've obviously got a race as well to at least get on with. Now we're getting into the final stages of pit stops at least. Yeah. We've only got 6 cars remaining to pit, the likes that I keep bringing him up. But
they
Andy
are really
King,
going long, aren't they?
They're going long, not particularly too long at the moment, but Andy King, likes of actually catching Van Schaik. I think he's been stuck behind Van Schaik for the entire of this first stint. So he's not going to be too happy after the accident he's had on the first lap. And actually, there goes Van Schaik. He's been opened up now, so Andy hopefully going to have a lot of clean air, so no aero wash from the Porsche. Not too sure how much the Ferrari, how much the Ferrari gets affected by aero wash, but I can imagine it won't be too pleasant, especially in the rain. And now we've got I think it's 2 cars. Yeah, 2
the Porsches are in.
So yeah, both of the Porsches, Verhoeven and Van Schaik, back to back actually. So we get a very, very good idea of who's going to come out on top between these two. Got Ford come in. I'm trying to see who that is. Verhoeven believed to have... Oh, yeah, he's yellow flagged, actually. I can just see. Top right, I think he's got the bug, sadly. Meaning he will have yellow flagged. So he RTG'd potentially from somewhere else, but he's just coming back in the race now. So something must have happened elsewhere. But he's actually managed to come out ahead. Oh. Interesting. Oh, and he's been disqualified. So whether that was for an RTG, I think that might have been. I think that might have been for an RTG, but that is not something you really want to see. Now we've only got 4 cars remaining, yeah, 2 pros, 2 semi-pros to pit.
And it looks like Quentin has only got a 2.5 second gap to Thomas. I think that's pretty respectable considering.
Actually,
it's not like a blowout like 16. Yeah.
Speaking of the strategies for pit stops, Andrew Richardson gaining position on Liam Walsh, putting himself into the podium positions, but obviously Liam having such strong pace shown in the first stint and in qualifying is going to be heckling him now for the entire rest of the race. So Andrew going to be wanting to at least uphold some of the Mode 11 name, depending that they've kind of wiped themselves out earlier on. The only real remaining one.
Yeah, this will be a battle right here. This will be the move. If he's going to make it, this is the move right here coming up. As long as he gets a good exit on the exit here.
Ooh, very wide. Really wide. Very wide.
That's the run. You got to send it in there to get the big run right here. He might not get it. He might be too far back.
I think he's too far back. The Ford known for good acceleration and brakes, but you can't really send it as silly as that. Yeah. Goes a little wide. At the moment, all Andrew really needs to do is focus on his race, his lines, and it will be very, very difficult for that Ford to overtake.
Trying to look forward, yeah, totally.
that's going to be a fight I can imagine is going to happen till pretty much the end of the race.
It's interesting as well, like the line they take through that corner. Then, like if I'm just watching for the last 40 minutes or so, you can see how many different lines there are through that that section there. And
depends on the it depends on the car, depending on aero, depending on setup. There's a lot of factors that can lead into the confidence really of when you can get on the throttle in that corner, whether you send it in hard into the corner or get a better exit, because there's not particularly a long run.
Those battles between these two drivers might start coming into play. Those different lines that they start taking to, especially with only 20 minutes to 18 and a half minutes left to go. So I kind of fancied Walsh earlier on because I thought he was driving really well. So if he were to put a Ford on the podium, that'd be brilliant. I am a bit of a
I don't know why I've just realised as well.
In California,
Liam Walsh trying to uphold the unfortunate demise of his team boss, Andy King, the PS UK lot. At the moment, Andy looking to extend his stint as much as possible as both of the remaining pro cars come in. And David Hill getting a drive-through, pretty sure that would be on pit entry. So that's going to be something to loom over him now, as we only have 2 remaining cars to pit.
And Bloom's pitting finally, That's a long stint for 17 minutes left to go. You never know.
The semi-pros are still going to go at it. I know Andy's probably going to be wanting to be the last out again to extend as much as possible, keep himself in clean air to gain the positions that he lost earlier on. But he is actually being caught by the likes. He's being caught by the likes of Michael Thomas, so he might want to think about pitting sometime soon, just so he doesn't get caught up in the traffic.
Yeah, and that is the gap there, isn't it? Is that Michael Thomas behind him? It should be, shouldn't it?
I believe so, yeah. Michael Thomas with a couple of back markers behind him. So that car is imminently coming in.
He's coming in hot. He wants to win. I don't blame him. I mean,
and he's probably going to be pitting sometime soon, just so he doesn't lose any time to the leaders coming through. Chris Vining gaining some pace, actually. They're gaining the purple lap over Michael Thomas. Sadly, doesn't mean much here, unlike F1, where you gain an extra point. But it's always something nice to look at.
No, he's coming in. He is coming in. He's coming in.
Andy Kane comes in. Thought that might be the case. He doesn't want to get caught up.
Van der Kraan has also stayed out again. So with
Van der Kraan is probably going to extend as much as possible.
Do a 12-minute run on new tyres. That's an interesting.
Oh, well, hello. We've got a fight ahead of him, actually. So maybe something. Again, looking at strategy, might be time for him to come in, because if he starts getting caught up in these fights and anything like that, time will start to be lost. So you want to minimize. The main reason you extend or shorten your stints, or at least one of the reasons, is so that you don't have any traffic going on.
Yeah.
Obviously, in this case, catching these two having a fight, I think these
are the back. Put a hamper
these
on
are the back markers actually, because that's the Audi that we keep bringing up. These two are going to be having quite a hell of a fight. Yeah, you don't want to get caught in this. Yeah, so hopefully he's going to pit.
And there could still be a good top 10 in this for Van der Kraan here, even if he does pit. I mean, 20 seconds in the pit, maybe 30 seconds. He's still going to finish in the top 10. That's a great drive.
He's got 10 seconds to Michael Thomas, so I don't think he's going to be much of a worry to him. Just keeping an eye on Andy King, where he's going to come out of the pits. Just giving a bit of time for the leaderboard to update. He's not going to be P1 in class. He's going to be dropping back a bit more, give it a little more time. Come on, ACC, please. Not going to be P2, back in P3. Might be lurking amongst a lot of the semi-pros. As I called once again. I'm surprised I've done that twice, actually.
So the battle on there,
Van der Kraan,
he's with the next, he's with Latil, the #1 McLaren. Where does he come out in comparison to him? He's on the back straight, so that's the position there.
I don't think he's going to be able to keep any positions like that, because he's coming through sector 3 at the moment. He might come out. He might come out 3 or 2. He actually might come alongside the likes of Andy King.
So right, that brings right back into it then, doesn't it? In
So
the 68 Ferrari.
we're going to have quite a battle within semi-pro from P17 to P15, 14. So there's going to be quite a big group there, I'm going to imagine. And actually, the likes of Van Schaik. I don't know why I never pointed this out.
So
Van Schaik, the
lead of
Porsche.
his class then here.
The Porsche has actually done very, very, very well, depending they didn't qualify particularly well. And there he is, still stationary in the pit lane until we'll just gain that spot back. So now look back to the likes of P13 with Stuart Wright. He's gone past now, has the Ferrari. The Ferrari is starting to move. They're going to come alongside. The overcut isn't particularly working. As Wright comes through, the McLaren in front, my word, and pushing it a bit much, aren't we? Is that Dave? Oh, is that David Hill? That might be David Hill. Oh, yes, of course.
That's right, yeah.
The drive-through, David Hill has just come out as well. So, we've now got a very awkward sandwich for Stuart here. David going to be ahead, which I would assume should be a little bit quicker, so hopefully... It's going to use that pace.
Right and Van der Kran.
Yeah, Van Kran coming out very, very well here. Very well off. And P3, so the final podium
Porsche,
spots here.
The 299 Porsche, he's not too far away if they get into a tangle.
The Porsche has done very well, actually, because the Porsche didn't seem strong at all, any pace-wise. But it's actually gone well. But there is a bit of a wiggle from the Ferrari ahead. Does manage to hold it. I think he's going to try and block on the exit. He's done well, but now Fredriksson is going to be looking to overtake here. It's not going to be for anything overall.
Not going to be handsome.
It's a different class, but obviously position on track still means something to these lads.
Good run off that exit for the Lamborghini there, Fredriksson.
Stuart Wright is going to want to at least leave these two to fight. He's hoping that Terha is going to be able to get past Van der Kran, because then that gives him a nice little buffer and hopefully give him a much easier case to get away. Obviously, while all this fighting is happening, Van Schaik in the Porsche is lurking in.
There'll be a move
have much better race pace.
Coming.
Actually, there's been
going to send it here down there.
Mode 11.
I'm looking at that. I'm thinking yes. I'm having a go at that. Side by side, turn 1.
Mode 11, guys, once again, sadly not having a good race. As Nikolai Schroeder gets a drive through, that's probably for track limits. But yeah, I think in this case, Van Schaik made that easier for Fredriksson to get through, because he's going to use Fredriksson's extra pace to try and catch up to Wright, yeah, and hope maybe use Fredriksson as almost a battering ram, so when he goes through, he can go through as well. It's been done before, but obviously
just give him
this is a bit of a maybe not that much, but it's obviously a double-edged sword now, because with the fact that Fredriksson's gone through, he has now opened up the opportunity for Van der Kran, who is now the car behind him, to start having a go
Richardson
at him.
Getting very close as well.
Actually, King is also lurking in the background. He's appeared in the shot a couple of times. You might be able to see him down here, down the back straight, but he is also making an appearance in these pictures. So he's very much not one out of it.
The battle for third's looking to be heating up as well. There was something going on there. He just lost 0.2 of a second. Walsh and Richardson there. Oh, okay, yeah, we're hearing the... Yeah, let's go side by side. Can we split screen that? 50 quid. Oh, there you go, there you go. There's going to be able to catch up now.
Oh, so the exit from Fredriksson is a good one. Look into the inside, but I think Wright's going to want to fight this, because if he fights it, he can use Fredriksson as almost a buffer. Whether he's going to be brave enough to turn in here, no, he's not. He's been sent out wide. That's going to open the doors now for the rest of the semi-pros. Fredriksson's just going to pull away, hopefully, to leave these guys in the background. But there is going to be one hell of a fight now for this final podium spot.
In semi-pro, that's it.
In
It's gonna get
semi-pro,
lively.
yes.
I like it. I like a big. It's good to see them getting really
Which
stuck in with
actually,
each other.
both of these are for the final podium spot. So bottom
Yeah.
right, we've got Liam still having goes at Richardson. Richardson seeming not to have wavered too much. We actually, something we alluded to earlier on. Liam diving potentially a bit deep into T1.
Oh, yeah, there
Lost
he
him a
went.
bit of
Yeah.
time.
Lost himself a bit of time there in the last chicane, but now powering through the last corner.
Oh my
Yeah,
word.
it all seems to keep going wide there. He's done it like 4 or 5 times now.
As long as he doesn't get track warnings, as long as he doesn't get track warnings, he'll be
keep
fine.
it within the
but
limits.
It is going to be a case of he's keeping things close, which obviously when you're driving to this sort of level, you do.
Now
need
here comes
to
the
do.
move. Here comes the move with the battle in the semi-pro class. There's some moves that they're getting a lot more closer now. Through this last sector is where most I think most of the moves are going to be done. The run they got now, look, there's 4 of them. There's three cars there that all can have a shot at this in the semi-pro class.
Andy King is also gaining time to that group. Probably not quick enough though to make any notable effect at the end of the race because we've only got 7.5 minutes or so to go.
He's gone defensive.
He's gone defensive, but he's going to go very deep here. There's going to be a bit of a cutback, but he's still going to have the inside. That's very well held around the outside by Van der Kraan. He's going to have the line, and that's going to invite Van Schaik on the inside. That is a bold move from the two of them. That is very well done. Right, potentially holding things a bit too much there. Has put himself very wide and has had the likes of Van Schaik and Van der Kraan come through. So this has changed drastically for him in semi-pro.
And there's only 7 minutes left to go, so these guys are only going to get 2 or 3 more chances to make those big position changes if they can get up the pace. If they can make the move, now's the time to try and start making them.
Porsche now going to be the hunter. Sadly, it seems like
I think
Stewart might not have had too much pace, which is why he was having to defend so hard. Andy King coming in even closer now.
Walsh getting closer.
So he's going to potentially be looking for a bit of a strategy call there. And actually, I think that was a back marker coming through on Andy King.
Walsh is deep into turn 1.
Yeah, the fight in pro class as well, bottom right, as you mentioned there. It's a close fight, but Andrew Richardson is just holding his line and doing all he needs to do.
Now let's look at
Covers
the
the inside
here. Around the outside here.
That's going to be a hard thing to do, yeah.
And a cut back.
He's going to try and cut back, but I think that was an attempt for Richardson to try and block him off on the apex. Semi-successfully, and he's going to go for the outside. Another cutback potentially. But once again, Richardson parks it on the apex and prevents any moving from Liam to happen.
Oh, great defending there. He's got to run on him again. This will be the second big area I would want to make a move. Is the turn down here towards the.
I think because
He's gone wide.
Came in earlier to the pit lanes. Those tyres are suffering on him. So he's having to defend much harder than he would have liked to. Gonna go for another cutback. No, he's gonna try and hold it around the outside, but he's not gonna like it through here. He's managed to get away from that very well. The defensive masterclass coming through at the moment from Richardson. And Liam Walsh is going to be screaming to get out of the way because the pace difference is very much in his favor. He just needs to have that moment and that area to do it. The getaway seems to be good enough from Richardson, though, but once again, Richardson,
he knows it's coming.
Yeah, the Ford with that acceleration is very much going to be able to get him alongside. He's going to have the inside line, but it's I would argue the favourable outside line, but that is more with a mid-engine car. It's going to go for a switchback, another outside. That's going to be very wide onto the green stuff. They are now side by side, nearly touching bumper to bumper, but the inside line is going to be held by Liam Walsh. He's going to have the inside line again for this, but has also got a better exit. I think this might be done, but we're going to see. Is Richardson going to try and hold it out the outside? No, but he's going to see if he can get the switch back. We are not done yet. Good traction, though, from Liam Walsh, and he's going to come across to cover it off, and I think that is it. Well raced by the two of them. Good racing room, very close. But overall, Liam Walsh coming out on top. I think the strategy of pitting early from Andrew Richardson has come back to bite him a little bit here because he had a lot of space earlier on, but obviously those tyres will have worn down.
Wow, what a great move. Still not over yet with 3.5 minutes left on the clock too. Now,
very much not done. Liam has gone deep actually. Andrew's going to come back through. He's going to have the inside. And all of that work, Liam, we've just been complimenting him for a move, has all gone away in seconds. That is going to be a kick yourself moment.
But
just goes a little deep, but
good pace though, so he hasn't lost any good momentum yet, so he still might be able to get this move done here down into turn 1 because it's still right on the bumper of Richardson right here.
3 minutes remaining.
Again, he's defending.
Good pace. I think that pace of the Ford is going to be greater than he'd hoped for. They're actually going to stay side by side. Better than I thought. Andrew Richardson going to hold the inside, trying to go for the in and out. Around the outside, we are seeing a carbon copy of what happened a lap ago, and he's done it again. Now just don't copy it again with going into sector 3. Hold that position. If you get a good move pulled on you, you're going to do it again and again and again as long as it works. Good move, great driving. So as long as the mimic in P10 or as long as the mimic in T10 doesn't happen again, he should be fine. But that was once again a very, very well done move. I think Richardson sadly knew that one was coming, as he did lean in and give it up a little bit easier that time around. The Ford's power down that main straight. Great defensive. It's still not over yet too. There's still a couple of laps left yet. So it's still a couple of laps. Just if Richardson could keep the pressure on him, he's only half a second back. He's right there in his mirrors. We're gonna have 2 laps. I'd be flashing him too. Get out of the way. Where the 82 is. The 82 is coming across the line now, so we will have. This is the final lap, I believe, unless some God-sent speed lap comes through from Michael Thomas. Who knows? But no, this will be the final lap for them. So it's actually going to be very favourable in those who fueled very low. I'm actually keeping an eye on how Liam's braking at the moment, as he does seem to be sending it in very, very hard still, despite not really being at much threat anymore. I'm going to look back through the rest of the grid. Chris Vining has actually managed to have a good bit of a recovery drive. However, he's a bit stuck amongst all of the semi-pros. Yeah, I mean, this is the fight for P2. Latil has had a very good racing class. Very good race. So I think it's going to be a comfortable P1 for him. And now Van der Kraan. 15-20 seconds in front of second place. Van der Kraan. Van der Kraan is now going to be hoping that Vining isn't going to do a dive on him, because that's going to be a very nice opening for Van Schijk. So potentially looking to allow the likes of Vining through. There is obviously this being the final lap, just this to go. So it seems like he's slowing down a little bit. But that is going to allow the Porsche back in a little bit closer, but that's allowed things through safely. So he's held position. Nothing too scary has happened on his half, meaning position is going to be defended on his half. As now we look towards the leader coming out of the final corner. And what a up and down race this man has had. Michael Thomas comes through for P1. After having some incredible opening laps, up, down, spinning around, you name it. Brent Quanton coming in P2. to keep the pace up. Both of them having some very good finishes after their opening race in both regards. And then coming home in P3, that amazing fight we saw between Liam Walsh and Andrew Richardson. Both of them take a bow, but the likes of Liam Walsh is going to hold the final podium spot in class.
And the two Ferraris right there too, 5th and 6th. I didn't expect to see them up there. That's great.
Ferrari's a very safe car around here. Latil now.
The Ferraris are Mitchell.
Latil coming home P1 in the semi-pro class. And now we're getting some big sniffers. Last chicane, I don't think there's going to be anything silly. Oh, the likes of Van Schijk goes very deep there, but that means he's not going to have a particularly good exit, meaning P2 will go to Thomas Van Schijk, and P3 will go...
No, second place is going to Van der Kraan.
What did I say? Oh, I said Thomas Van Schijk. Sorry, the other way around. The other way around. Martin van der Kraan will be P2 and Thomas Van Schijk will be P3 in semi-pro. Fights aren't done though. We've still got a couple to go. Patrick Treffers on the likes of Schellings. Mick Schellings, but I don't think much is really going to happen. Really Final con. It's a good run, but sadly it is really just to the line. And that will round out the final spots. What
a great race. Oh my God, how great was that?
Rain, the ultimate equalizer, the bringer of carnage. It has done so much for this race. And in ways I would say I wouldn't have even expected. This very unfortunate likes of Chris Vining. Dominant start from Chris Vining. He got away beautifully on the first couple of laps, stayed away from any of the drama that was happening, but then to make that such unfortunate slip up on the pit stop meant that he got sent back in the pack.
Wow. Yeah, it went all the way back down to 5th, wasn't it, at one point, 5th or 6th, and then there was another accident. And then, as we say, like, the rain is the equalizer of all the drivers, but those with skill can gain those positions back because of other people's errors. Yeah, what an amazing drive. What a great drive from the air. Congratulations, definitely.
Very much congratulations
to all that survived. Just to make it.
And we are live again, I believe. OBS crashing, technical stuff. He did say it was a promise that would happen at some point. So there you go. We can't really
Sometimes it happens, but we got lucky, didn't we? It was all, it wasn't during the race. That's the main thing.
Yes. Oh, it was perfect timing with the fact that the race had just finished. So overall, well timed, Chris. Very well done.
Yes, well timed.
But looking into the interview,
this was a great battle here. This Walsh and
Liam Walsh and Andrew Richardson.
What a
happened earlier on than I thought, actually. Yeah, so they were going at it from the very start.
All race long, those guys have. Yeah. Look at that! What a great overcut, undercut, backwards, forwards, back marker. What the hell? What's happening? I'm dodging cars everywhere. Wow.
But there was the likes of the close racing at the start, and to think Michael Thomas was in that to begin with, to where he finished, is incredible. Yeah. But yes, what a great for interviews we have got we've got people waiting. The likes of do I have power to move?
Oh, I'll let you and Chris handle that then. I think
I have power. But we've got the likes of we've got Regan Mitchell joining us, P5 overall, fastest Ferrari. How are we doing? How did that feel?
Hello guys. It felt horrible, but that's okay.
Come on.
I've only really come in to say happy birthday to my grandma, who should still be watching.
Happy birthday, Grandma!
Grandma Mitchell, happy birthday.
Grandma Mitchell, yes.
Or if it's even on that side of the family, I've taken a guess.
How old is she turning?
Alright.
Oh, so you've got to wish her happy birthday. You can at least sing for her, eh? Well,
I'm not joining on that. My word, I can't sing. But yeah, the rate overall, it seemed like you had actually a very good race, Regan. You P5 overall, fastest Ferrari. The Ferrari around Barcelona, much favourable car, but obviously with a 21 kilo ballast, I can't imagine it was particularly pleasant in the rain.
No, it wasn't. Mostly just due to the fact that this is probably the least practice I've ever had for a race.
Doesn't help.
No,
So
I
you
didn't
might
think I
You're
was
probably
taking part.
pleased with the result
Yeah.
if that's the amount of practice.
To be honest, yeah. throw a go-to setup on and see how it goes. Yeah, I wasn't expecting to be in this race, so I just turned up with 20 minutes before qualifying to go.
And the thing is, we didn't actually see you too much
Sometimes
on
that's
stream.
all you need is a
Oh,
quick
well,
quality
yeah.
and off into the race and let the racing figure it out. So you did really well today. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And yeah, you didn't really appear too much on the stream, and I feel like that's maybe just because of the fact you didn't have a particularly extravagant race. Maybe the first couple of laps, contrary to that, because the first few laps were absolutely carnage. But you seem to have kept to yourself. You kept pace. Just stay consistent. Was there much of a scare happening during the race in terms of other cars?
Not really. Around me, it was fairly clean by everyone. I had to dodge one mistake into the hairpin, but I saw a car coming down the inside, just let it sail by. So that was okay. The reason you probably didn't see me that much is because I was just, after the battling in the first stint, I was just catching up to the front pack over time, and then I messed up my pit stops a bit. Forgot where my pit limiter button was on the exit, so I was just going.
Oh.
So I lost about 6 seconds there, and then I spent the whole second stint slowly catching up to Richardson, but like not much. So that's why.
And especially coming off
That's
the
a great
light.
result.
It's a great result, and especially coming
Great
off
result,
the P4 result last race. You are, I think, P3. I might be talking out my arse on that, but I think you are P3 currently in the standings. Obviously, it's early days, so things are still to change all over the place. But looking forward, how are you feeling with the rest of the circuits on the calendar?
Well, to be honest, I don't very much know what circuits are coming up, but
Oh, well, okay, I can fill you in on that.
I think
So-
Zolder is in there.
Zolder's next. That's where you're going.
Zolder's
Yes.
next.
You know, that's actually fun. So hopefully it'll be all right. It depends how much practice I can get in. I know that the top two really bring their A game every weekend, or every Tuesday, sorry. So might be a bit hard to get even podiums, but yeah, keep going.
But as
Well,
long
you're
as
really
you
not
stay
far,
consistent, yeah.
He's really not far off podiums as it is anyway, and all you need to be is really good consistency and having clean races like he did today. That's what it's all about, and that's points win prizes.
Hope
You
so.
know.
That's the plan.
Yeah, congratulations. Yeah, what a fantastic drive.
Thank you. Thanks for letting us in, guys.
No
Even though
problem.
no-
So any final words besides potentially not congratulating, saying happy birthday to your grandma again?
No, happy birthday, Grandma.
No thanks, team. No, cheers,
Yeah,
mom.
Thanks me for driving so well.
I want to thank me for being me and being awesome.
Thank you for the broadcast.
always a
Pretty
pleasure.
good.
Always, no problem.
My grandma likes them, so
Ah, good
Oh,
to
she
hear.
does. Good. We should
Good
get
to hear.
Grandma in here commentating.
Grandma Mitchell on the endurance
Always
races.
welcome.
That'll be great. Yeah, we'll get anyone in here. But yeah, I don't think we're going to be getting any other interviews appearing, as everyone seems to have gone quiet. But
It would have been nice to hear from our race winner at least, but
no, he's got his own stream going on. I know that
his
much.
own stream.
He's
going.
got his own
"Yeah,
stream. Yeah.
I'm the best. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's going to be keeping to himself, I can imagine. But overall, I think from us here at SSRI, it's been a very, very eventful race, and especially with the fact that I don't think we actually had any replays in that race, just purely from the fact that we had so much going on live through the entire race. Meant
That
that
was
we were
crazy.
constantly entertained. It was a very, very
So
eventful
crazy.
race. But at least from here, is there anything you want to add on the end, Lloyd?
No, I just want to say thanks for to all the teams for taking part and taking the time out of your days to be a part of SSRI. No, I think that was one of the best races I've seen in a long time because there was so much action all over the track. The semi-pros, the pros, all tight battles, which is exactly what anybody would want to see. So.
Oh, yeah.
Just what a wonderful way to spend a Tuesday evening, you know what I mean? So, yeah, congratulations to all the winners. Commiserations to the people who didn't finish. There was quite a few of them. We really didn't even go over paint jobs, but maybe we'll do that on the next one.
We barely had any time. There was barely any time.
There's just no time in an hour. Yeah. It's so crazy. Yeah, but yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, and obviously anyone who's wanting to get into the casting side of things, feel free to just drop any of the I don't know if it's any, but at least Chris Hill, I know that much, who has been our wonderful producer as always on these sprint races and the endurance series. Basically SSRI's producer, he's our go-to guy for that. But yeah, drop Chris a message if you're wanting to get involved with any of the casting, if you are feeling that sort of thing, as we are open to pretty much anyone. But as for us here, we have had Barcelona for tier 1s. Next week will be the tier 2s around here as well. And we're probably going to expect the same sort of weather conditions there with the rain. But from us, at least from me and Lloyd.
I'm coming. I'm going to be here next week too.
You're going to be here as well. All right. At least from me, you might see Lloyd next week.
Amen.
We have been your casters for this incredible race. Thank you for watching and see you next week.
Yeah.